apparently, you guys really like it when I talk about rumors and theories and stories and ooh, spooky stuff, which may or may not be true, which is annoying because generally I stick to facts around here, but the idea of a rumored lost locomotive definitely piques the imagination, and some of these stories are often based on truth. So, today, I will take you to the great state of Mitten and Dog, Michigan. And yes, we have been here before, but this time the locomotive is not trapped within one of the Great Lakes. No, this time it's a logging locomotive, and the story doesn't give me a number to work with, though it is suspected, at least based off of one of the few articles I found about it, that it might be a Climax. This legend takes us to Cheboygan, Michigan, near Alpena State Road, and the tale's been passed down through writings for over 100 years, and it centers around the operations of one Millard D. Olds, who was a prominent lumber baron in the area. He owned a lot of land east of Cheboygan, in and around what is now US 23, as well as Alpena State Road. That land is known to be fairly marshy, which I think you can see where this is going. But Old still pushed to build short-line railroads for getting the lumber out of the area, which was fairly common practice at the time. Trains were essential for the lumber industry, as were many geared steam locomotives. His particular line ran from his mill and out to his lands. The other individual involved in this particular story was a man named Charles Martineau. He was an employee under Olds, and was an engineer that worked on the locomotive. Now, for reasons that are not clear, Martineau was getting just a little bit fed up with Olds. Just a tinge, just a smidgen annoyed with his boss. And you know, we've all been there. But Martineau's reaction was maybe a little bit extra to whatever Olds was doing, because he opted to drive his locomotive off the end of the line and directly into the swamp. Locomotives are heavy, and swamps are soft and wet and sticky. And as such, they couldn't actually get the locomotive back out again. And presumably Martineau was indeed fired for this little stunt, though the story does not make that very clear. She would sink further into the marsh over the years, and the foliage would grow up around her, making it so that her remains were actually pretty difficult to see. But over the years, a lot of locals who would walk through the area claimed to have spotted her, and such stories of abandoned or lost locomotives aren't unheard of in old lumber communities. Sometimes they're just stories, but sometimes they're true, and there have been times where locomotives have been stuck in the marshes and could not be retrieved, so they were just left. Verified accounts do exist, but in this instance, there isn't a lot of direct evidence to go off of. What is known is that Olds did exist and did do lumber business in the area, and Martineau was actually an employee of his. So all that is correct. Additionally, Olds did have 2 Climax locomotives, and one of them, presumably the lost locomotive sister, is actually still in running condition, located at the British Columbia Forest Discover Center in Duncan, British Columbia. But in terms of the lost sister we have here, her location remains unknown, or even if she was ever lost at all, because there's a few possibilities here. Let's say, hypothetically, it's all true. Just for the sake of the argument, we're gonna assume everything about this is true. 100%. No question. No one embellished anything. Well, the thing is, there have been organized efforts to locate her exact position. The Department of Natural Resources, as well as hobbyists and regular historians, have all looked for her. And failed. So, what the heck? Where is she? Where is she? Where is the locomotive? I want that steam engine! Well, there is a possibility here that she may have been salvaged a long time ago, because there were pretty intensive scrap metal drives during World War II due to the need for extra materials. And if someone knew that there was just an abandoned locomotive out there with precious metal in it, they could have just gone out and ripped her apart. So she may be long gone. But that's just a theory. The other possibility is, of course, that this is all bogus, and there was never a locomotive lost in the area at all. Because here's the other issue. Olds left behind records of his business and personal dealings, very detailed records, and historians have gone through them. He makes no mention of ever losing a locomotive in this manner. So, if he didn't say he didn't make a note of it, like if it were me, I'd personally make a mention in my journal or something. Like, oh my god, my employee went absolutely insane and wrecked one of my engines and now she's stuck in the bog. Like, something. Any kind of mention. But Olds never did. Then again, one could argue that perhaps the whole incident was embarrassing for him and didn't want to mention it. There's a lot of hearsay and maybes, and I hate maybes. I hate maybes so much when it comes to these kinds of stories. And since the tale of the locomotive doesn't come with, like, a number, that bothers me. I do personally wonder if anyone who's gone looking for this locomotive has ever thought to bring a magnometer or ground-penetrating radar, because it shouldn't be too hard to determine exactly where she should be on the basis of where the track used to be. If the story is true and she was run off the end of the line, Climaxes are not very fast. She didn't go sailing off the end of that track, okay? So you look where the line ended and just say, alright, she must be here. Get out the magnometer. Oh, there's no metal here. Oh. Well, time to go home. Like, this shouldn't be that hard, but the story still persists and remains a local legend. Whether or not there is a lost locomotive out there remains to be seen. But, like with all of these rumored lost locomotive stories, I have no issue with just checking. You know, just to see if there's something there, just to see if there might be a lost locomotive buried in the ground, in the swamp. And if she is there, well, I mean, then we can talk about getting her out. I don't know how we go about doing that, because swamp, I don't know if the area is still that swampy, though it probably is, and that would be a problem. That would make things a lot more difficult. Plus, how good a shape would she be in? I mean, probably in a lot better shape than most would think, and it would be nice to get her out, because climaxes are pretty unusual in the modern day. She'd be unique. I'm sure at the very least, the locals would like to have her as some kind of display piece. But, she would have to actually exist. And I'm not 100% confident in that idea, personally. Again, not against checking, but I don't have a lot of faith that any of this is true, purely because of the scant details that I am able to come up with. But like all lost locomotive stories that I don't necessarily have a lot of confidence in, I kind of hope I'm wrong, you know? It'd be nice that she'd be there. I just don't think she is. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. And with that, a special thank you to all my underwater train finders, Some Dude 267, Orange Glass, Benjamin Owens, Panzer Kitsune 131-232, Anzac A1, Arthur Roy, Brian, Jack Carson's Railroad Videos, Lord Off 444, Murder Dronsdal, A Person 723, Royal Hudson 2060, Isurfer 1405, Charles Kwiatkowski, Matt Weaver, Tom Redlion, NS Productions 8104, Hendrick Motorsports Fan 5, Wheeljack 8401, Rescues Greyhounds The Baxter, Caleb Crosswhite, Ohio Trucker 1, Andrew Bowen, Josh Johnson, Hayden DeGrow, Caleb Rainwaters, Prez Drenton, Master of None, The Oklahoma Hot Rail, Liam Wright, Mr. Sleepy, Travis Dolinsky, Jared Brussel, Joshua Long, Hannah Bird, Amtrak 2024 Productions, Tommy Rossini, That Guy with a Beard, Ben McCullough, Mark Holding, Dr. Racer 78, G Wiz, and Mr. Terevel. Terevel. There's two T's. Is it Terevel? I'm gonna say Terevel. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.